Hello, my name is Melissa Stone. I was diagnosed on August 30th, 2019 with stage 2B triple negative breast cancer. I was only 37 years old and I don't have any known genetic mutations. I'm so happy to say that I've had no evidence of disease since my double mastectomy, which was done on April 28th, 2020. I endured 16 cycles of 4 different types of chemo. I had a double mastectomy with immediate DIEP flap reconstruction. I had 15 sessions of proton radiation, and I also had 4 additional reconstruction surgeries that were due to complications. That was just my standard of care with conventional treatment. When I was diagnosed, I was extremely hesitant to do chemo, as unfortunately, I had watched my aunt suffer through the last 6 months of life after an ovarian cancer diagnosis. Chemo, unfortunately, did not work for her. In fact, it took away any possible remaining quality of life she may have had. She implicitly trusted her doctors and didn't look for outside or alternative treatments. She was not the only one who I saw go down the traditional path of oncology protocols. And as my treatment progressed, I realized I needed to be my own advocate and throw absolutely everything I could at my aggressive cancer. I didn't rush into chemotherapy. Instead, I went for multiple opinions at the best cancer centers across the country. Yet each time I was told that the protocol was exactly the same. There was actually one oncologist who was newly licensed. She took out a binder and said, "This is the protocol that I am required to use for all triple negative breast cancer patients." I don't think she was supposed to show me the actual binder, but it was very telling. The prognosis for the particular cancer and treatments in that binder were not good, yet no one was willing to think outside the box or tweak the treatment for me. I knew that I must start to research alternative treatment options, but also that chemo was most likely required in some form due to the cancer being triple negative, and it had already spread to my lymph node. After 3 cycles of aggressive chemotherapy known as the Red Devil, I was told that the cancer, unfortunately, was not responding to treatment. My oncologist decided to send the biopsy tumor to get genomic profiling. Unfortunately, this showed that there were no targets, no chemotherapies, and no immunotherapies that would work. My team suggested that I move straight to surgery to buy myself more time, but I was not ready to give up. I decided that I would continue chemo and the conventional treatment, but also do alternative treatments as well. All of my research showed that there is a synergistic effect in combining the two. Too often, cancer is treated in a vacuum, and I was beginning to think that it should also be treated as a symptom of an underlying cause or causes that compromise the lymphatic system to begin with and allows the cancer to grow. Treatment, therefore, should also address the body as a whole. I also wanted to keep my body as strong as possible during the aggressive traditional treatment. At that time, I decided to work with a naturopathic oncologist alongside my medical oncologist and my whole team. I did keep them separate as most of the alternative treatments I pursued were not supported by my conventional team. I started IV vitamin C treatments and ozone therapy and many other IV nutrients. I made sure that I spaced these out so they didn't interact with the chemo. I also began juicing and I changed my diet. It was at this time that I read every medical journal, book, and article I could get my hands on. I discovered the Care Oncology protocol after reading Jane McLean's book, How to Starve Cancer. I started on the protocol and I started taking off-label meds and tons of supplements. In conjunction with my combining the alternative treatments and the remaining 13 cycles of chemotherapy, the tumor could no longer be felt. It was on April 28th, 2020, that I had the double mastectomy surgery, and it was shortly after that I was told I had a complete pathological response to chemo. Every single person was shocked as we did not expect this amazing outcome. And I truly believe it was the off-label meds and supplements and IV treatments that helped the chemotherapy to do its job. I do not believe I would have had this outcome if I hadn't added alternative medications and protocols. A few additional things I incorporated were brain rewiring. I did lots of meditation. I did rebounding every single day, intermittent fasting, breath work, and I continued the IVC and ozone treatments after surgery. It was not easy navigating all of this, and I really had to piece everything together on my own and do all of my own research. My conventional team could not recommend any of the alternative treatments, and I felt like I had to keep some of them hidden, which was really an awful feeling. My medical team could not legally suggest the off-label meds or supplements, as they informed me that the data just didn't exist. And being off-label, there was no regulatory approval. I think there's definitely a disconnect in our medical system between treating the body as a whole and treating the disease in a narrow focus. I've learned that one size definitely does not fit all. One treatment will not work for everyone. And by ignoring the body's ability to assist in healing, to ignore the underlying causes that got you into trouble in the first place, you are drastically reducing your chances for survival. I'm still taking the off-label meds, metformin, atorvastatin, mebendazole, and doxycycline, along with a ton of supplements. And I don't plan on stopping the protocol anytime soon, as the reoccurrence rate for triple negative is pretty high the first 5 years. I've had zero side effects from taking this protocol. And I also felt like they kept me strong during chemotherapy and have helped me immensely after active treatment was done. I'm very fortunate to have amazing health benefits through my employer, but unfortunately, they didn't cover any of the alternative treatments. These were extremely expensive, paying out of pocket, and they cost me approximately $8,000 a month. Of course, insurance will only cover treatment that goes down the traditional route. It's extremely frustrating that patients like myself have to navigate these complementary treatments on our own. I have a business degree, I don't have a medical degree, and it has been really scary making these huge decisions for myself. And I really hope that one day they're more available and easily accessible for all patients. I preach to anyone diagnosed that you must be your own advocate. You must do your own research, and you must trust your intuition. There are positive stories of cancer survivors thriving after a scary diagnosis. And remember always that you are not a statistic. Thank you so much for listening to my story.